In the barren expanse of West Texas stands a dilapidated wooden building, cracked and dusty. The streets are silent, with only the wind blowing by. In places like this, time seems frozen, leaving behind fading shop signs and a small church that no longer holds congregations. But as time passes, a faint sound begins to emerge. The scent of coffee creeps in through open windows, mixed with laughter, soft at first, then growing louder. In a once quiet bar, someone is turning on the light of hope. Texas has hundreds of ghost towns, born from the oil boom, abandoned when the railroads shifted, or slowly fading away due to drought. But not all of these towns have surrendered to fate. Some have found a second life, not grand, not fast-paced, but real and warm. So, what makes people return to a town that was once abandoned? Which towns are these? Here's a glimpse of the ghost towns that came back to life in Texas. Our first stop is a town located in the southwest desert of Texas, not far from Big Bend, a place that was nearly erased from the map. Can you guess it? For those unfamiliar, Terlingua was once a bustling mercury mining town. But when the mines dried up in the early 20th century, the residents started to leave. What remained were old smokestacks, crumbling adobe buildings, and an eerie silence. However, the town did not die forever. Today, the 11-square-mile town has come back to life, not through industry, but through imagination. Artists, travelers, and seekers of peace have arrived one by one, drawn to the magical stillness and wide-open, clear skies. According to available data, the population is now around 130 to 170 people, but its spirit has multiplied. Take a look at how the abandoned adobe homes have been transformed into unique accommodations like Villa Terlingua, a place where people come to experience a healing quiet. Amid the ruins, the town's oldest bar still stands. The nights here are filled with music, laughter, and long conversations about life, nature, and the courage to start over. Every year, Terlingua also celebrates Dia de los Muertos. Yes, it's not just about remembering the departed, but also celebrating how the dead can return to life. In this way, Terlingua isn't just a ghost town. It stands as proof that even dust can give birth to beauty, as long as there's belief and action to make it happen. If Terlingua offers new life through art and hospitality, then this town presents something quieter, more contemplative. Not far from the Mexican border, in the far west of Texas, stands a small town called Shafter. Once, this land was known as the richest acre in Texas because of its abundant silver mines. But, like many mining towns, its wealth did not last. When the silver stopped flowing, life here slowed down too. Today, only about 11 people remain permanently in Shafter. But don't be mistaken, its silence actually attracts travelers and photographers from all around. Shafter doesn't just hold history, but a unique atmosphere that is hard to find elsewhere. In the vast, quiet desert, there stands an old church that still holds services, seemingly anchoring this nearly forgotten town. Its white walls contrast with the burning Texas sky. Occasionally, the sound of footsteps can be heard on the dirt road, perhaps a traveler or a film director. It's no surprise, as Shafter served as the backdrop for the film No Country for Old Men, with its landscape feeling like a piece of another world. Shafter doesn't live in loud excitement. It lives in silence, in the steadfastness of its old buildings, and in the gaze of those who come to remember. From the sacred silence of Shafter, we move to a tiny spot on the map, nearly erased by time. Nestled in the green curves of Texas Hill Country, not far from Fredericksburg, there's a place too small to be called a town, but too warm to be forgotten. This place is Luckenbach. Once, this spot was just a simple trading post with a post office, bar, and dance hall. Over time, the wheels of modernity moved away from it. The population dwindled drastically. Most of the buildings were left standing alone, accompanied only by the wind and leaves. But in the 1970s, everything changed. A country music enthusiast bought Luckenbach, not to rebuild it, but to bring it back to life. Today, although the permanent population is no more than a handful of people, Luckenbach lives in its own way. Every weekend, this place is filled with the sounds of acoustic guitars, feet dancing on the dusty ground, and casual conversations under the shade of a giant oak tree. The simple wooden stage and small bar serve as the heart of the community, not just for entertainment, but for bringing people together, young and old, street musicians and legends. The philosophy of life here is summed up in one legendary sentence: everybody's somebody in Luckenbach. And it's true, in such a small place, no one feels like a stranger. No need for fancy cars or big names. Just come, sit, and let the music bridge everything unsaid. Yes, Luckenbach may be small, but its spirit, the longing for a simpler, more genuine life, feels much bigger than any towering city. From the small stage of Luckenbach, we travel southeast to a quiet place that holds the echoes of a grand history. Located in Calhoun County, facing the Gulf of Mexico, Indianola was once known as one of the most important port towns in Texas. In the mid-19th century, it thrived and was even predicted to rival Galveston and Houston as a trade center. Immigrants from Germany and other European countries flocked here, making it an essential entry point into the state. But everything changed when the storms came. Twice within 11 years, first in 1875 and again in 1886, Indianola was struck by massive storms that devastated the town. The second disaster marked the end of its story. Buildings collapsed, the harbor was crippled, and the population moved away to seek new homes. Today, Indianola is not a conventional town. There is no significant permanent population, but people still come. Historians, pilgrims, and travelers eager to hear the whispers of its past. The site is now maintained as a historical park, where monuments and remnants of surviving buildings stand as silent witnesses. What makes Indianola special is not just its destruction, but the immense potential it once held. It serves as a reminder that not all towns fall due to human neglect. Sometimes, nature takes its own course. Here, the waves still crash against the shore, gently caressing the ruins. It's as if the land whispers, "We haven't forgotten, but we cannot repeat the past." If Indianola symbolizes a fall due to natural disaster, then this next town tells the story of hope rebuilt amid the barren desert. Located in Hudspeth County, in the vast and quiet West Texas, in the desert garden Oasis, Lobo was once a small town with a gas station, a public swimming pool, and even a general store. But like many small towns, this 10-acre place lost its residents over time until it was eventually abandoned. However, Lobo's story doesn't end there. In the early 2000s, a group of German artists came with an unconventional idea to collectively purchase the town and transform it into an experimental space for art and alternative living. They hosted film festivals, musical performances, and art residencies in the midst of the desert, creating an off-grid living experiment that combined community, creativity, and the solitude of nature. While its permanent population is minimal, even nearly non-existent, each time an event takes place, Lobo comes alive again. Now, in 2024, the town is up for sale again, raising an intriguing question. Will Lobo remain a home for artists, or will it sink back into the silence once more? Now, we come to the last entry on our list. Located in Reeves County, not far from Interstate 20, Toyah may appear as a ghost town to those passing by quickly. Empty buildings, crumbling homes, and silent streets create an atmosphere reminiscent of a post-apocalyptic world. In fact, this town often serves as a favorite spot for photographers looking to capture the desolate, post-apocalyptic vibe of West Texas. One of its iconic buildings is the former schoolhouse, still standing proudly. But behind the silence, about 100 residents still call this place home. They are a reminder that the town isn't fully dead. There are no big stores or bustling streets, but there is a sense of community that lingers between nostalgia and hope. Some residents continue to care for their yards, repair the small church, and occasionally share news on their front porches. Toyah seems to hover between the past and the future, not quite alive, but not quite dead either. And that's where its charm lies. A town that offers a glimpse into the harsh realities of rural life in West Texas, while quietly holding an incredible spirit of survival. In the end, some towns in Texas may seem almost erased from the map, abandoned, forgotten, or eroded by time. But life isn't always measured by bustle. Sometimes it's in the quietest places where the most genuine fires burn. A handful of people who choose to endure, create, and dream, even after the world has moved on. A town may die economically, but it doesn't have to die in spirit. Because sometimes, a different kind of life thrives in places we thought were already gone.